Hi everyone, this is the LEGO Ninjago Dragons Rising Lloyd's Jet Mech set. It was released in June 2025 in most parts of the world, but in August 2025 in North America. Here are the minifigures included in the set. Only 2 ninja here. Here's a look at them at the top of the box. And here's a look at the back of the box. That shows us that this thing can actually transform into a jet. That's in the name. We see here that we can combine this with the Thunderfang set, sold separately. And here's a view of that conversion. So that's pretty interesting to see. Let's open the box and see what's inside. So first of all, we have this bent sticker sheet. As for the rest of the box, we see that it's basically half full. It's not filled up to the top, and then there's lots of empty space here as well, so this box could have been way smaller. In this set, we get 11 numbered bags, although I do have to note that some of them, especially bag 3, are very small, so it feels like we're not getting as much stuff here as we might expect, but let's find out for ourselves. We also get this relatively thick instruction manual with a QR code to scan for points, although I will not be using the instructions at all. Here's a look at the back of it. The part list and everything else is available on lego.com, so I'll just skip looking at this entirely. The only thing I will say is that there's around 200 pages of instructions, and here's the other LEGO Ninjago sets from this wave. So if you want me to review any of these, other than this one of course, do mention that in the comments down below, and if I see enough support, I will definitely consider it. And if I do pick one of them, my favorite would be this one, although it's also the most expensive. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But I know that this is a good build from what other people have said online. Alright, let's start. We do get an orange brick separator in this set, and I'll be using this brick separator to apply the stickers. Bag 1 surprisingly gives us 2 minifigures, Sora the Ninja as well as Core from the Forbidden 5, and they both have some accessories. We also get a flyer or speeder for Sora, which kind of reminds me a bit of what they do with LEGO Star Wars. Of course, it's in their own style. And we start to build a little bit of the core of the evil dragon thingy that the Forbidden 5 are going to use. This is definitely an interesting piece to get. I'm not sure if it's new for the first time in this set or just relatively new. It's a specialized piece. It's not printed or anything, and I think in this particular case it makes sense to include it because it's a pretty iconic shape. I'm fine with 1 or 2 specialized pieces, I just don't want them to over-rely on them, because it's going to be pretty hard to brick build something that looks this good at this scale. As usual for rounded stickers, always put them on a gridded surface before applying the stickers on them, and be careful when it comes to the orientation. I think you could reuse these stickers as eyes if you want. Bag 2 continues the build of the Spectral Dragon, at least I think that's what it's called. Bag 3 completes this dragon by adding the skeletal wings, as well as this banner that looks pretty cool and also pretty evil. And we can, of course, adjust the legs to try to make this thing stand. Bag 4 builds the core of the Mech jet with a lot of LEGO Technic pieces. We start to see here some of the transformation feature. We have this thing that can be moved, and these things can rotate as well, although we don't know what purpose that will serve, if any. You get this canopy piece in Bag 5, and it's not protected by anything, so it's a bit scuffed right out of the bag. Bag 5 builds up a lot of the cockpit area right here. We add this canopy, and a bit of a detail right here, as well as this turret, and a couple pieces here towards the middle of the model. Bag 6 builds one of the legs. This is a surprisingly dense build. You don't feel like there's a lot of stuff here, but this is packed with stuff. Lots and lots of pieces put together in a very particular way. This came together in a way that I was not expecting. I had to do a lot of thinking for this one. Bag 7 builds the mirror leg, which is almost identical to this one, with just a few pieces modified to accommodate this technic pin, so that the legs can be joined together when in flight mode. And these legs attach to the main body like this. Bag 8 builds the feet of the Mech, or the vertical stabilizers of the jet, depending on how you want to look at it. And the builds are almost identical. In fact, they are identical up till this point, where we add these last parts, which are going to be mirrored. And this click is very satisfying. Bag 9 builds one of the shoulders of the Mech, or one of the wings of the jet. Bag 10 gives us Tyr, the last minifigure of the set, as well as the mirror build of Bag 9, so basically the other shoulder or wing. It looks like I messed up one of the Technic pins right here, so this cannot go in, so I cannot assemble the whole thing until I fix that. So yay, we have to disassemble everything. Such is life. Basically, the blue pin that's holding this in place needs to point this way and not this way. Alright, now we're done with the build. I actually just realized I need to flip a couple more pieces. But before we look at this, let's have a look at the minifigures. The set comes with two Ninja, Sora and Lloyd, and both of these are nice to get with the new dragon armor piece that we got for this year. So this is a piece that is dual molded between gold and the Ninja's color, one of them in each case, so in this case bright green, in this case dark blue. And underneath we can see the minifigure expressions on here, as well as the torsos, and I do like the torso prints on both of them. Yeah, very nice minifigures to get. I do like the cat motif for Sora, and the Lloyd, the legendary green ninja, is a well-known quantity, although here he is in bright green instead of the regular green. Both ninja have angry expressions, and I especially like the one for Sora. She is flaming mad here, and they both have good reason to be. By the way, I do like the dual molded hair pieces for both of the ninja, although I do think including the masks in addition to these hair pieces would have been ideal. And they're mad because there's only two ninja in this set, and I would have expected at least 3 or 4 given the price point. So where's Kai, where's Nia, where's Wildfire, Aaron, Cole, Jay? All these ninja are missing from this set. I know you can get them in other sets, some of them are not that expensive. Zane, Pixel also, don't forget about those. So yeah, just 2 ninja in a set that costs $100 US. That doesn't feel great to me. And they're also mad because I have to face 3 bad guys. Core from the Forbidden 5, an unnamed Spectral Dragonian Warrior, as well as Tyr in his evil version. And I do like the Dragonians here the most because of their transparent elements for the arms, as well as the legs, or this ghost piece, which is dual molded between the aqua and transparent light blue. So these are definitely the stars of the show, in my opinion, and they're even more rare than the ninja. We have seen the ninja before in other occasions, maybe with slightly different outfits, but these ones are a lot more rare. And I have seen either these legs or similar legs in other sets, but it's definitely great to get them here. And this ghost piece right here is also amazing, and I'm very happy that we're getting it in this set. Here's a better look at the torso for the Dragonian, especially around the back. They both have the same torso, this guy, and the same head. And here's a better look at the printing for the Forbidden 5 member as well. You can set things up such that one of the Dragonians has this thing around the back. So basically you can remove it from one of the Dragonians and attach it to the other as you like. They're both the same mold, just different colors, with here it's dark blue, and here it's pearl or gunmetal gray. So yeah, that's definitely very useful, and you can imagine this being like a ghost flying around, just like in the Ninjago TV show. So that's definitely very interesting. And you can also swap the horn pieces around if you prefer, if you want to mix and match the colors. So that's all fine and good. And here's a look at that dragon thingy by itself. I wish these colors were dark blue just for the sake of consistency, and I wish they printed the eyes right here. There's like a little dot of white here, would have made this come to life a lot more. So I hope they do that in the future. But overall, these are nice to get and nice to collect. Each minifigure has the accessories shown here, and you can mix and match the accessories as you like. And the most interesting things here are this thing right here, or rather this piece inside, which is pearlescent opalescent. It's a 1x1 brick, that very nice color. It's basically used in the show to reveal all the Dragonians, which are hidden by default. And then we also have this blade right here, which is actually transparent. So it could be interpreted to be a dragon icon, or it could be interpreted to be the prismatic blade, the upgraded version that can actually kill these things. So the idea is that Lloyd or Sora is going to use this magic blade to destroy these things, and perhaps the larger dragon that we'll look at next. We also get one extra of this sword that Sora has on her back, and a couple of these accessories for the Dragonians, and this weird weapon for the core Forbidden 5 member. So to summarize my thoughts on the minifigures overall, I'm happy with the transparent elements right here, the legs and the arms. I like the side printing on core, and of course it's always good to see our friends the ninja, although I wish they included way more of them, like 2 or 3 more ninja for the price that we're paying. I also wish they gave us 2 or 3 of this instead of just 1, because this is a $100 set, and if we got 1 of these in a $10 set, I would expect to get more in a larger set. Or at least give us 1 per ninja, so 1 for Lloyd and 1 for Sora, just to increase the play value. So yeah, minifigures are good, but we need more of them at this price. Moving on, we have Sora's land speeder, although probably they cannot legally call it a land speeder, but this is very clearly inspired from LEGO Star Wars. It's basically some kind of hover bike that can traverse various terrain. It could be used by Sora, of course, but it could also be used by Lloyd, or maybe the Forbidden 5 have stolen it. Of course, you can always invent your own stories. So the idea is that Laura can stand or sit in this area right here and pilot this thing that kind of looks like a bird to me. And this thing can be adjusted like this, up and down. The wings can be adjusted up and down. You can spin this around for additional play value, but it's not very easy to do that, and it doesn't really spin that much. There's stickers for decorations with the number 14 on them. I don't know what that represents specifically. But yeah, that's a good look right there. Of course, you can add the Lloyd sitting here, facing towards the front or towards the back, maybe to defend against enemies coming from the other side. And yeah, you can play around with this and have a lot of fun with it, and probably you could fit like 1 or 2 minifigures on either side here, although it's going to start to get cramped at that point. Yeah, nice little speeder, nice little side build, and I'll definitely factor this in the value of the set once we get to that part. But on its own, it's not worth that much. Also, I just noticed that we have these clips here, so you could potentially have other minifigures clipping on to here for additional play value, although, as we see here, this piece can separate relatively easily, so just make sure to hold it tightly, firmly grasp it, as they say, and yeah, attach minifigures like this. So yeah, you could have a lot more minifigures on this thing if you want to simulate a battle scene or something like that. So that's all nice and fun. The other side build in the set is this Spectral Chaos Dragon. It's not as large as Thunderfang, but it's roughly similar in terms of its general aesthetic, so it's like a skinny dragon with like legs that have like this curvature to them. So definitely an interesting beast to get. And with this one, you can adjust the legs to make it go on all 4s like this. So I didn't really adjust much, just the legs, and I'm moving this down a bit. And now it looks more like an animal, or if it wants to drink water or something, you can bring the head up like this, bring it down. You can also open the mouth like this, and it has a transparent blue tongue, which is very creepy, but it makes sense if it's spectral. And then that transparent blue piece right here, if you look at it from a different angle, it appears to be eyes that are glowing. So that's very useful right there. The wings are very skeletal, but this is a skeleton dragon or a ghost dragon, whatever you want to call it. And since this dragon is not the primary focus of this set, it's just like a villain side build, I can accept the fact that these wings are not perfect, but they're good enough for play, good enough for display if you don't care about like super accurate details. So yeah, it does have some level of display value, although it's not as sophisticated as those famous Ninjago dragons that LEGO used to make a while ago, and they still make them from time to time, like that big $200 Source Dragon of Motion. That's an impressive display item. This looks like a toy compared to it. So yeah, the tail can articulate a lot because of the ball joints, which is quite obvious. You can make it go like this, for example. And you have these banners right here that represent evil, probably. You can interpret these to represent whatever you want. And here you have enough space for 3 minifigures to sit, which is basically the 3 bad guys of the set. They can all sit on this dragon, and here's what that looks like. Well, actually, this guy can't really sit because he has this specialized piece, so he's gonna have to hold on to one of these clips instead, or stand around the back here, but there's not enough space for him. We need like 2 studs with lots of empty space around it, so we'll just clip him on to the back like this. So this is how these bad guys are going to be traveling around. According to the story of this set, they're going to be traveling around in this very weird way using this dragon. So yeah, that's a nice look right there. And then you can pose this dragon. So unfortunately, these feet only go in and out like this. They can be slayed, but they cannot be brought forward and back. So it does give us limitations in terms of the articulation, but at least we have the ball joints over here. If we want to make it stand, we have to basically do this, and then it can stand. But still, I wish they gave us a bit more articulation here. But still, this is a decent look, and you can use the tail to balance out better. Yeah, it looks like it's going to jump into the sky with these bad guys on it, so that's pretty cool. You can actually remove this relatively easily if you want, and here's what the rest of the thing looks like from all angles. As you can see, there's lots of technique used in the construction of the wings, but it's relatively simple, so kids should be able to build it without many issues. And here's what it looks like from the side. I do like the rib cage right here, the way they did that. There's a bit of transparency to it, just to make it more ghost-like. And here's the underside. I wish they tiled this off a little bit better, but it's not a very big deal. I also wish that these gray joints could have been recolored to something else to not break the immersion, because most of the dragon is white and blue with a little bit of red. Here's the full extent of the wing articulation. They can go all the way down from here, all the way up to here. So we have some pretty decent articulation for these wings, maybe even more than what is absolutely necessary, so that is definitely a nice thing. But yeah, it's just that the feet are limited in terms of their articulation, but I already mentioned that. And now the moment y'all been waiting for, this jet mech right here, or mech jet. It's definitely a very interesting build, more heavy than you would think because it's very part dense, especially here around the back. There's lots of stuff to achieve the functionality of both being a jet and a mech with articulation and all. So let's set it up. And I have not played with this in advance, so I generally don't know what it does. I'm just like figuring it out as I do this recording. It looks like this is the jet mode. And I guess you could give the wings like this kind of angle if you want it to be like a fighter jet, or you could do it like this. So that's actually very nice. Yeah, this looks like a military aircraft almost. Yeah, this is better than I was expecting. And these hands, I don't know what to do with these hands. Maybe you could just remove them or just make them point back. And apparently this is what the box shows, except for this angle. So basically they're angling these at a right angle, which is a different look right there. So it's very wide going from here to here. Maybe it's the size of approximately 1.5 base plates. I did not measure it yet. I'm just like eyeballing it. But yeah, this is a big thing, bigger than I thought. Because I was building like lots and lots of small bags, but then the end result is larger than what you might expect. So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, this is a good look right there. You see a look at these panels, these wings. You can interpret these to be additional weapons. And here's a look at the engines. So basically they have some intakes and some exhaust right here. You have to imagine it a little bit, but it makes sense. This also, you can interpret it to be the exhaust. Yeah, that's very nice actually. So yeah, definitely an interesting design that they went for here. I like the color scheme. I like the shaping of it, the angles. This thing just feels so good. I'm very happy about it. It's a little bit flimsy right here. Like I can do this, but I don't think it's going to fall apart. It's just that these pieces are only held by some Technic pins here just to allow for the articulation, so I'm fine with that. As long as you're not too rough with it, it should be fine. Here's a look at it from the back. I wish they had a little bit more color consistency right here. It's not the best angle for it. I have to press down on these pieces apparently. Yeah, like from here especially you can see like the green, black, light yellow, green, light yellow again, light bluish gray, dark bluish gray. Yeah, they could have cleaned it up a little bit around here, and I wish this red pin was not red, but I'm guessing they made an intentional choice to make this part of the color scheme. I also wish we didn't have to see this blue pin. They should have recolored this to green or something. As long as it's not confusing for the kids who build this set, if they choose a different color, I think they should have done that. But again, it's a kid set, and I don't want people to get confused, so I'll have to accept that. The cockpit right here is ready for Lloyd to take control, although there are no controls provided, so it's pretty bare bones, which is a little bit disappointing, honestly. There's no printed pieces in the set whatsoever. None. They could have like thrown in one printed piece here for the console. Yeah, Lloyd can sit here, including with his armor, so he doesn't need to remove that. And actually, he needs to lie down a bit. Like this. So he doesn't need to take off his sword, but not his armor and mask. So that's what he would look like when piloting the jet. That's a very nice look right there. And they basically designed this thing to fit exactly one minifigure without a lot of room to spare. So very efficient use of space right there. That's definitely amazing. It's definitely a good look right there. If you look at it from too low, like you're not really going to see the pilot's eyes, but from any reasonable angle, you will be able to see it. Before I transform this thing into the mech form, I'll just point out like some interesting part usages and building techniques that I noticed. I won't be able to list all of them just because there's so many in this set, but I do like the mix of LEGO Technic and LEGO System. It provides for a very interesting solution compared to just using one system or the other. You have here an interesting assembly with this gun piece being recolored to the pearl gold color, and it's inserted basically to link these pieces together. That's definitely an interesting use for this piece to basically achieve studs on the side construction without a specific snot piece. There's lots of regular studs on the side construction in this set. We're building on all sides here, like depending on what you want to view the top as. So like if you think this is the top, then we have studs in this direction, that direction, diagonal even. So lots of interesting solutions right here. And you can look at the speed build to see exactly how all of that came together. There are lots of mirrored builds, so you build something on one side, and if you build the other side at the same time, you'll be very efficient with your time. You do have to build everything twice, but it's twice, not 10 times, so it's not that bad. And the end result is very nice to look at. Again, I love the green color scheme. This looks very good to me. Although I do wish there were more printed pieces and less stickers. So yeah, we've taken a look at this from multiple angles. Here's a look at it from the bottom. Not the most camera-friendly angle right here, but it doesn't look too bad. I wish this gray here could have been recolored to something else just to make it stand out less. But everything else is fairly consistent, and you even have a bunch of inverted tiles to reduce the number of anti-studs that you would have to see, although I wish they could have included the inverted tiles here as well, just to reduce the number of anti-studs. With that being said, it's now time to convert this into the mech form, and when we look at it from the back, we actually start to see the legs. So this is how it's going to be done. And again, I've not done this before. I've just seen the box. I have not read the instructions on how to transform it, but if we built this thing without instructions, we should be able to transform it without instructions, right? And good news, you don't have to reposition the minifigure like on certain other sets where you have to actually flip the figure and make them sit upside down. You don't have to do that here. It just works. That's very nice. So the Lloyd is pointing the right way from the get-go, just like this, that's fun. And there's lots of friction in these ratcheted joints, so it doesn't move too easily. But the way that this is constructed is pretty solid, so you can move it from here, and you don't have to be worried that anything is going to fall apart. So definitely kudos to the designer for this particular part. I'm very happy with that. And you can remove this sword right here and add it to this part right here. Then you can move the fingers to basically grip the sword, or give the appearance of gripping the sword, even though it's not actually being gripped by these fingers. But that's a good look right there. Slash. Yeah, this is like a little head or camera or mechanical device, however you want to interpret that. Yeah, this is another look for this thing. And yeah, we've basically completely transformed it from a jet into a mech without having to do any disassembly other than these swords, which is a very minor thing. You just unplug it from one place, plug it somewhere else. I do wish these exposed Technic pins were not visible though. I don't know if there's a way that they could have done to avoid that. So yeah, let's take a look at the mech from all angles. I'll basically spin it around. You can see that this thing definitely has some substance to it. From the side, this part looks a little bit weird. Like, is it a nose? Is it like part of the chest? It's really hard to know what that is. Yeah, from the back, it looks pretty nice. And I do like the fact that it has like certain angles to the feet and the legs. It's definitely more dynamic than just like a basic mech from 5 or 10 years ago. Yeah, this is definitely something special. We've seen good mechs in Ninjago before. This might not be the best Ninjago mech, but it's the best Ninjago transforming mech. I've never seen anything quite like this before. And the transforming feature actually works. It's not just a gimmick. And in terms of articulation, what are the limits of articulation? Well, the legs, they can go all the way forward like this. You can even like move this up, and you can do like a kick, but like the knee here cannot be moved. It's completely fixed in place, which is understandable given the limitations of the medium and the transformation feature. Can you make it stand on one leg? It's doable. It's doable, but I would not recommend leaving it like this for a long time. But as you can see here, it can be done. And that is thanks to the articulation here at the ankles. So it can actually go from side to side. Like, don't lean it too much, but you can have like some articulation from side to side and from front to back. So that's definitely very useful here. We have the ratcheting joint here that we talked about before, and here's the maximum extent of how far back it can go. Although watch out, because some pieces start falling off at this point. The legs can also be splayed in and out, so you can do the splits. That's funny. Can we actually do the splits completely? I think so. Yeah, that's as close as you can get to doing the splits using a Lego mech. Yeah, that's definitely funny. So yeah, there's lots of articulation here. Splaying forward and back. Movement right here for the ankles, back and forth and side to side. That's all nice and well. Too bad there's no knee articulation, but I don't think we can get that given the limitations of this particular model, so it's okay. And for the arms, everything is mirrored, so whatever I do on one side can be done on the other side. So these can go up and down like this. These can go forward and back, although you have to watch out like not to knock over any pieces. And basically this thing right here, this panel, is a limiting factor. So if you want to move it forward, yeah. Basically, you have lots of flexibility as long as you respect the fact that this thing exists. If you want to keep it in the default form and not disassemble it. So yeah, there's still lots of flexibility here. The hand is on a ball joint. You can very easily do this swipe across the chest kind of motion. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it's fairly flexible, although as I was moving it, if you're not very careful, you might pop off some parts, but I don't think it's a big deal. You can just reattach the parts, or if you really are going to be moving it and playing rough with it, just remove all the decoration parts that are not necessary. So yeah, definitely an interesting plaything, interesting toy to play with, and it has pretty decent display value as well. And it could be used as a starter point for creating a jet, whether military related or not. It just has like that nice aesthetic to it. Let's convert it back into a jet and see how we can do that. Now this is another look. It's not really official or recommended, but you could also have the wings kind of open like this. It's a different kind of look right there. But then these wings are not held together, so I would recommend bringing these like this in order to close the wings and attach them right here. It's going to make it a lot more stable. Yeah, we're now back in jet mode. Just going to adjust the wings to make them perfectly level. And then here, if you want, you can push these back, or you could bring them forward as you prefer, depending on your preferred display option. And speaking of jets, here's the LEGO Avengers Age of Ultron Quinjet, also released in August 2025 for $20 more, US or Canadian. So this is larger. You still get 5 minifigures, but these are licensed compared to the unlicensed ones of Ninjago, and you only get this bike as a side build. But on the other hand, you do get the stand, and this thing is a lot larger in terms of its footprint compared to the Lloyd mech jet. Here they are on a level playing field, or in this case, I put the Lloyd mech jet over the Quinjet. You can see here the clear difference in the footprint. So obviously the Quinjet is a lot larger, and yeah, that goes in all dimensions, but the width is comparable. So yeah, they are comparable, although the Quinjet is larger. And here they are both on a level surface. You can see this thing is a lot more substantial versus this, although this cannot transform. It's just a static model. Yes, you can access the interior. Well, I guess that is another advantage of this set, is that it does have an interior that you can access. So there's space not just for pilots, but for passengers and cargo. So that's an advantage of this set. And you get this for only $20 more compared to the mech jet. So I'm actually torn on which of these is better. In my case, I actually bought both. Basically, whichever one you choose depends on what is your favorite theme, what is your favorite color scheme, what are your favorite minifigures that you really want to get. Although, you remember, you can always buy the minifigures separately. You don't need to buy the entire set just to get the minifigures. You can buy the minifigures off of BrickLink if you just want the figures and not the build. This one is a stand, so it's easier to display. This one can transform into a mech, and if you want a mech, then this is probably the set that you want to go for. So it all depends on what you want to prioritize. But in terms of value, they both have approximately the same number of pieces, 1,100 pieces. This one is $20 more, but you got an interior, licensed minifigures, the stand, so I can actually understand the price difference here. Putting the focus back on this set, you do get a lot of things for $100 US or $130 Canadian, so it's definitely worth it in my opinion. The building experience without the instructions was quite enjoyable in this case. I enjoyed all parts of this build, so this was fun to put together. This was fun, although very small and not too difficult to figure out. This was fun and challenging. I even made some mistakes along the way, as you saw towards the end. I had to go way back to an early step and fix something. That was all okay in the end because you have this very nice transforming mechanism. I learned a lot on building this set, and I think that knowledge will be very useful to me for my own custom creations, which I keep saying are coming, and trust me, one day they will come. When I find the time to reveal them, I will. So yeah, definitely lots of impressive building techniques right here. Some interesting pieces used as well. The figures are cool, although I wish we got more ninja. And yeah, for the price that we're asked to pay for this set, it's not too bad in my opinion. Although I do have to take off some points for all the stickers. This is quite a large sticker sheet, and it came bent in my case. Thankfully the stickers are still salvageable, but I do expect more from LEGO this price point in 2025. So yeah, quality needs to be improved a bit. And if you want a bit more play value, you can add a set like this one for $10 US or $13 Canadian, and this will give you Kai, who's one of the most important ninja in my opinion. And you get some bikes, so you can play around additional scenes. You can get the other ninja from other sets, and some of them are not that expensive. Like you still have Jay's Mech from last year that you could get, and that includes another version of the Lloyd in a different outfit. So yeah, if you just add a couple small sets, or even one of those poly bags that has two minifigures, either the one with Kai or the one with Aaron, whichever one you're able to find. And if you do that, then you'll be able to get a lot more play value of this set by adding the other ninja. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this set. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And be sure to like and subscribe for more amazing videos coming your way very soon. Bye for now.